Okay, let's kick things off with a bit of a puzzle. Picture a huge 5-ton tree. I mean, a really massive oak. Where does all that stuff, all that solid wood, the trunk, the branches, where does all of its weight actually come from?
Now, the most obvious guess, and what scientists actually believed for centuries, is that it all comes from the soil, right? The roots suck up dirt and nutrients, and that must be what builds the tree. It makes perfect sense. Except it's completely wrong. The real answer to that puzzle lies in one of the most important and honestly most amazing chemical reactions on Earth: photosynthesis. To really get to the bottom of this, we've got to rewind the clock and look at a famous experiment that basically turned everything we thought we knew about plants completely on its head. So back in the 1600s, this scientist, Jan Baptist van Helmont, he plants a small willow tree in a big pot of soil that he'd weighed very, very carefully. For the next 5 years, the only thing he gave it was water. The tree grew and grew, gaining over 160 pounds. But here's the kicker. When he weighed the soil again, it had lost only about 2 ounces. 2! This was huge. It proved the tree's mass wasn't coming from the dirt. It had to be coming from the water. And, as we'd find out later, from thin air. So, if plants are basically building themselves out of air and water, how on earth are they doing that? Well, like any good chef, they follow a recipe. You could call it the ultimate solar-powered recipe. And that recipe is called photosynthesis. All it really is, when you get down to it, is this incredible process where plants use the energy from sunlight to cook up their own food from 2 really simple ingredients: carbon dioxide and water. So here's the basic recipe card. On the ingredients list, you've got carbon dioxide from the air and water from the soil. The plant uses sunlight to combine them, and what comes out on the other side are 2 products: glucose, which is a sugar that fuels the plant, and oxygen, which is basically just a waste product for the plant. Okay, let's get just a little bit technical, but stick with me because this is cool. On a molecular level, what's happening is that 6 molecules of carbon dioxide are reacting with 6 molecules of water. The plant zaps them with light energy, which allows it to break all those atoms apart and rearrange them into one big energy-rich molecule of glucose and 6 molecules of oxygen. It's kind of like baking a cake. You need to put energy in from the oven to turn the batter into a cake. For plants, sunlight is the oven. That's what scientists call an endothermic reaction. To really wrap our heads around this, we need to take a little tour. Let's go inside the factory where this whole amazing process takes place: the leaf. So let's follow a single particle of light, a photon, on its journey. First, it zips right through the leaf's outer protective layers. They're basically transparent. Its real target is the layer just beneath that, called the palisade mesophyll. This area is jam-packed with the cells that do all the heavy lifting. And inside those cells, the light is finally captured by these tiny green power packs called chloroplasts. Of course, a factory needs a delivery system for its raw materials. Water gets delivered from the roots all the way up to the leaves through a network of microscopic pipes called the xylem. Think of it as the plant's plumbing. Meanwhile, the carbon dioxide just drifts in from the atmosphere through thousands of tiny little pores on the leaf called stomata. Okay, so let's put it all together using that factory idea. The entire leaf is the factory building. The palisade cells are the main assembly lines. The chloroplasts inside those cells, those are the individual machines doing the actual work. And the special green pigment inside those machines, the stuff that physically grabs the sun's energy, is called chlorophyll. All right, so the factory has done its job. It's produced its main product, glucose. But what does the plant actually do with all this sugar it just made? Well, turns out it has 5 main plans for it. And the plant is incredibly efficient with this sugar. First, it uses some for immediate energy through a process called respiration. It uses another chunk for construction, linking glucose molecules together to build tough cellulose. That's what makes up the wood. For long-term savings, it converts it into starch. It can also combine it with minerals to create amino acids, which are the building blocks of proteins. And finally, it can turn it into high-energy oils and fats, which is perfect for storing in seeds. But wait, why not just store the glucose as is? Why convert it to starch? Well, this is actually a brilliant bit of survival engineering. Glucose dissolves in water, and if a cell were packed full of it, it would suck in way too much water through osmosis, so much that the cell could actually burst. Starch, however, doesn't dissolve, so it's a much safer, more compact way for the plant to stash its energy reserves for a cloudy day. So we've got this incredible solar-powered factory.
But what controls its production speed? And more importantly, why does this one single process matter so much for every single one of us? Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Just like any factory, a plant can't just run at full blast all the time. The speed of photosynthesis is limited by its resources. If there's not enough light, or not enough carbon dioxide, or if it gets too hot or too cold, the whole assembly line slows down, or even grinds to a halt. And it's not just the amount of light, but the color of the light. Check this out. Chlorophyll is really, really good at absorbing light from the blue and red parts of the spectrum. But green light? It's terrible at it. It mostly just reflects green light away, which of course is exactly why plants look green to us.
So let's bring it all the way back around to our 5-ton tree. The overwhelming majority of its mass, that solid, heavy wood, it comes from the plant pulling carbon atoms straight out of the air, combining them with water, and using the sun's energy to lock it all together. The tree is literally built from air.
But the story is so much bigger than that, because photosynthesis doesn't just build trees.
It builds our entire world. It's the foundation of pretty much every food chain on this planet. The energy that's powering you right now, listening to this, can be traced back to a plant capturing sunlight somewhere, sometime. And that little waste product we mentioned, oxygen, yeah, that's just the stuff that made our whole atmosphere breathable and made animal life possible in the first place. And that kind of leaves you with this one last incredible thought. Plants perfected clean, efficient solar energy billions of years ago. As we humans search for sustainable ways to power our own world, you have to wonder, what other secrets are they hiding in plain sight, just waiting for us inside a simple green leaf?